El gobierno de Donald Trump navega entre el desorden y la opacidad. Esta semana, un hecho que apenas ha recibido cobertura mediática merece atención prioritaria: el ataque contra una embarcación venezolana en aguas internacionales, que dejó 11 muertos. La Casa Blanca lo presenta como un golpe contra el narcotráfico, pero múltiples fuentes advierten que podría tratarse de un acto ilegal, incluso de un crimen de guerra. La polémica crece porque dentro del propio partido republicano hay voces que lo señalan, y entre ellas la del senador Ron Paul. La respuesta del presidente fue una amenaza abierta que expone hasta dónde está dispuesto a llegar para silenciar críticas. Recordatorio rápido: si les interesa este análisis, apóyenos con un me gusta, suscribiéndose y comentando, ya que el 98% de quienes nos ven aún no están suscritos. Ayúdenos a llegar a 1000 suscriptores, nos haría muy feliz. Sin más, pasemos con la noticia.
We are getting more details about that U.S. strike on a Venezuelan speedboat the administration says killed 11 people on Tuesday, and many of those details only raise more questions. According to the New York Times, Pentagon officials were still working Wednesday on what legal authority they would tell the public was used to back up the extraordinary strike in the international waters. That is so extraordinary, it's out of step with even the worst American administrations. I mean, the Bush White House after 9/11 had a whole written legal pretext that they developed for kidnapping and torturing terror suspects. It was a terrible pretext, it was a fig leaf. But they took the need for a legal narrative more seriously than this administration. And it gets worse. A former senior federal law enforcement official told the Times it was unusual to have 11 people manning a vessel that could easily be crewed by 2 or 3, especially since traffickers are always trying to maximize the amount of cargo space devoted to carrying drugs, not human beings. In this former official's opinion, it was more likely the vessel was carrying migrants on a human smuggling run. It would be impossible to know for sure, however, given that any evidence of drug smuggling was destroyed in the attack. So, did the United States just kill 11 drug runners via essentially summary execution, or did we kill 11 migrants via summary execution? Hard to say without evidence. And you can't look to Venezuela for answers. The government spokesman there is saying the video is just fake, that Trump and Marco Rubio and Pete Hegseth have been sharing an AI fabrication. And there's kind of the point. I mean, no one should take the Venezuelan government's word for it, a country led by a strong man with little regard for the truth or human rights. You can't trust the word of a government like that, whether it's Caracas or Washington, D.C.
Más allá de la disputa narrativa entre Caracas y Washington, la clave es que el Ejecutivo actuó sin autorización del Congreso ni cobertura legal explícita. Se repite el patrón de una presidencia que busca gobernar sin contrapesos y que utiliza la fuerza militar para fines políticos.
On the Venezuela vessel strike, what legal authority were you guys working under, and will there be an after report on the strike?
Well, I'm sure there's going to be an after report. I mean, the legal authority, and I want to talk about these kids, is that there are people who are bringing literal terrorists who are bringing deadly drugs into our country, and the President of the United States ran on a promise of stopping this poison from coming into our country.
Esa es la línea de defensa: seguridad nacional como justificación suficiente, aunque no exista un respaldo normativo. Pero el costo de esa posición es enorme: legitimar la idea de que el presidente puede ordenar ejecuciones sin juicio ni investigación. Y así Donald Trump y el resto de su administración están yendo tras cualquiera que critique esta medida, como seguimos viendo hacer a JD Vance. Y fue entonces cuando Ron Paul respondió. Aquí tengo un post el cual JD Vance escribió en Twitter, el cual dice así: matar a miembros de carteles que envenenan a nuestros conciudadanos es el uso más alto y mejor de nuestras fuerzas armadas. A lo que un usuario de Twitter respondió: matar a ciudadanos de otra nación que son civiles sin ningún debido proceso se llama crimen de guerra. Vance le respondió enseguida: no me importa cómo lo llames. Ron Paul escribió: Vance dice que matar a personas a las que acusa de un crimen es el uso más alto y mejor de las Fuerzas Armadas. ¿Alguna vez leyó To Kill a Mockingbird? ¿Alguna vez se preguntó qué podría suceder si a los acusados se les ejecutara inmediatamente sin un juicio o representación? ¿Qué sentimiento despreciable e irreflexivo es glorificar matar a alguien sin un juicio? Se observa una fractura interna. No todos los republicanos están dispuestos a normalizar la violencia extrajudicial. Paul subraya un punto básico de Estado de Derecho: sin debido proceso, el poder presidencial se convierte en arbitrariedad.
You know, I'm always for transparency, and I'm for releasing the documents. I do think that a disproportionate amount of time is spent on this. To my mind, the biggest pressing problem for the people in Washington should be the debt and the spending. That's our primary job up here. The Epstein thing is a little bit, it's been, I think, blown out of proportion. We haven't had any vote on our side. If there is a vote on transparency, I'll vote for transparency.
La coincidencia de todo esto no es casual. Quienes cuestionan la legalidad de la acción militar también reclaman claridad en el caso Epstein. El denominador común es la resistencia a que el Ejecutivo concentre poder absoluto y decida quién vive o muere, además de qué información llega al público.
Well, they haven't been misled, and the speaker's point that the victim's safety is compromised or privacy is false, because when we asked the survivors at our event, did they support the legislation that Ro Khanna and I have introduced, they all said yes. Now, I don't know if the speaker misspoke when he said that Donald Trump was an informant. The lawyers for the victims said that Donald Trump had been helpful in 2009 in their case by giving them information, but being an informant implies some formal connection and ongoing relationship with the FBI. I don't know what that's all about. I think the speaker needs to clarify that. And if it's a hoax, why was Donald Trump an informant to a hoax?
Congressman Khanna, the effort to pick up Republican signatures appears to have stalled for right now. Are you still confident you have the 218 votes needed to force a vote on this discharge petition?
We have the 218 votes. 216 already support it. There are 2 vacancies that haven't been reported as much, but 2 Democrats are going to be joining, and they are both committed to signing it. That's going to happen by the end of September. But I want to just say this is not a political issue. This has nothing to do with Donald Trump. This is a moral issue. It's about standing with survivors. It's about protecting children. I admire Congressman Massey's courage. I admire Nancy Mace's courage, Marjorie Taylor Greene's courage, Lauren Boebert's courage. They are standing with survivors. We have the votes. Let's get a vote this month and get the files released.
Congressman Massey, even if you pass this through the House, the Senate Republican leader John Thune has made it pretty clear that he's going to block passage in the Senate. Can that be overcome? And if not, has anything been achieved?
Well, it's highly irregular for the Senate Majority Leader to talk about legislation that hasn't even passed. But the pressure that's on the House of Representatives right now is going to go to the Senate after this passes the House. I think we're going to get a resounding vote on this, and I think he's going to be under more pressure than he realizes. He should do the right thing. You know, there are some people saying that our effort is redundant, that the House Oversight Committee is doing all the work that needs to be done. If that were true, why would the administration and the establishment be so opposed to doing our legislation? The fact is it's not redundant. Our legislation is necessary, and Senator Thune should bring it up.
Congressman Khanna, the Speaker and President Trump are saying that if the Democrats really cared about this, you would have forced release under President Biden. What's your response to that?
First of all, we did in 2019 call for an investigation. I was on the Oversight Committee. Elijah Cummings called for that. Secondly, some of the files were being released by judges under President Biden. You had Pam Bondi and Donald Trump say we're going to release all the files, and not a single Democrat then contradicted them or criticized them. It is only when they said that there's nothing there, that Democrats began to speak up and Republicans began to speak up. But again, this is not something to score political points on Donald Trump. Many of the survivors actually pleaded with him. He could be the president who says, look, I'm the first president releasing these files. No, none of my predecessors did it. When I introduced the resolution, I actually didn't even think that this was a hostile act against him. I thought this would be a bipartisan move, and I've been surprised that he has taken it in that way.
Why do you think, Congressman Massey, the president is resisting the release?
I think it's going to be embarrassing to some of the billionaires, some of the donors who are politically connected to his campaign. I also think Democrats are going to be implicated in this, Democrat donors. And when you get to the billionaire level, a lot of these folks give to both parties anyway. There are probably intelligence ties to our CIA and maybe to other foreign intelligence, and the American people would be shocked, I think, to know that our intelligence agency was working with a pedophile who was running a sex trafficking ring. So these are the reasons I think that they're resisting this. But we can't avoid justice just to avoid embarrassment for some very powerful men.
Congressman Khanna, the Justice Department is controlled by President Trump. It's pretty clear right now. Are you concerned that even if you force the release, there will be some scrubbing of the files? Democrats will be implicated and Republicans won't?
It's a concern, but the victim's lawyer, Bradley Edwards, has seen the files, as have many people who are career officials. So if they try to do something that is political, then many other people would call them out on it. You know, you can get away with things, George, you know, if the American people aren't paying attention. The American people are dialed into this. They want to know that is a country we can stand with survivors. The amount of messages I got from women who had been assaulted, who said, thank you for standing up for survivors, was overwhelming. And they want to know that we can protect our children. And they want to know that they're not two Americas, that rich and powerful people are going to be held to account for assaulting underage girls. I hope that this actually brings us together. I mean, the new roll call had Marjorie Taylor Greene and me hugging after an emotional moment. Some people criticized me, but other people said the survivors are actually bringing this country together around fundamental values.
Ya a estas alturas, el contraste es evidente. Mientras Trump multiplica amenazas y busca encubrir, un grupo de legisladores republicanos y demócratas apuesta por exponer el material completo. La disputa ya no es solo sobre Epstein ni sobre Venezuela, es sobre si el país acepta que la presidencia se coloque por encima de la ley. A todo esto, pues este episodio del ataque en Venezuela refleja un patrón que se ha ido repitiendo. Acciones militares sin un sustento legal, secretismos en casos de alto perfil como Epstein y hostigamiento a voces críticas, incluso dentro del propio partido. Se trata de un estilo de gobierno basado en la fuerza y el silencio más que en la rendición de cuentas. La defensa de JD Vance y otros aliados muestran cómo parte del Congreso está dispuesto a avalar este camino, mientras que las intervenciones de Ron Paul, Cana y Massey recuerdan que aún hay sectores que reclaman límites y transparencia. El problema central no es solo un bombardeo ni un solo archivo sellado, es la normalización de un ejecutivo que opera al margen de la legalidad. Y la pregunta que queda abierta es si la presión bipartidista alcanzará para frenar esta deriva antes de que se convierta en la norma. Ahora, si este análisis les resultó útil, suscríbanse, dejen un me gusta y compartan este video. Como dijimos al inicio, el 98% de quienes nos ven no están suscritos. Ayúdenos a crecer esta comunidad y llegar a 1000 suscriptores. Nos vemos en el próximo Rumor de Estado.